This lady is thrilled that they're remaking Snow White, not just in the new casting decisions, but remaking the whole movie because she says that Snow White is dated.
All right, so I've been thinking a lot about the flop that is Snow White, right? And put aside the two lead actresses beefing over politics, and Rachel Zegler wanting to take the piece away from the people that voted for Trump and sending it over to Palestine, right? But my real issue is with them trying to erase the little community. That is where I draw the line, because I love little people.
Disney found a way to cast somebody for Snow White whose entire personality on a marketing tour for the movie is, I hate Snow White.
I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of seven dwarfs living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
All right, here's a question for you. What could possibly spark backlash against Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot? Or better yet, what could cause tension between them? And why on earth did Disney feel the need to ramp up security for Gadot? What about fallout between Rachel Zegler and Ariana DeBose? How did Kristin Chenoweth react to criticism of Rachel Zegler? And what about Zegler's post criticizing Trump supporters and Trump himself? Oh, and did you hear what Jonah Platt, the son of Snow White's producer, accused her of? And speaking of Snow White, why did IMDb have to slap a disclaimer on its rating? Why was the movie delayed an entire year, even though filming wrapped way back in 2022? And what's the deal with the controversy over the Seven Dwarfs? Could Peter Dinklage's comments have changed Disney's plans? How did all these controversies impact the film's reception and box office performance? Learn about these and other interesting facts in our video. It began with the casting itself. Critics argued that Zegler, a Latina actress, didn't embody the traditional image of Snow White, whose name was tied to her skin as white as snow. But the controversies don't stop there. Her remarks criticizing the original 1937 Snow White as dated and dismissing its romantic storyline alienated fans who cherished the film as a cornerstone of Disney's legacy.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
She described the prince as literally stalking Snow White and championed a more modern narrative where true love takes a back seat to leadership aspirations. A bold departure that some applauded, but many condemned.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
And here's where things go from messy to absolute chaos. In August 2024, Zegler celebrated the trailer's success on social media, but added a politically charged message, and always remember, free Palestine. The post went viral, dividing audiences and sparking outrage. Her co-star Gal Gadot, an Israeli actress and vocal supporter of her home country, soon became the target of online life-threatening messages. Disney responded swiftly by increasing security for Gadot and her family. Yet behind closed doors, tensions between Zegler and Disney executives deepened. Producer Mark Platt even flew to New York to confront Zegler directly, urging her to delete the tweet, a plea she refused. As Zegler herself revealed in interviews, the mistreatment spilled over into her personal life as well, with strangers screaming profanities outside her home. While Zegler's stance earned her praise from pro-Palestine supporters, it alienated others. Her refusal to delete the controversial tweet became a symbol of defiance for some, but also deepened the divide between her and Gadot. The tension escalated further when Zegler referred to Gadot as a professional pageant queen after their Oscars appearance, a comment described as dismissive and unnecessary given Gadot's international stature. Gadot, on the other hand, remained resolute in her support for Israel. In interviews, she spoke passionately about her heritage as an eighth-generation Israeli and the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors.
Who am I? My name is Gal, and I'm Jewish.
Her statements drew both admiration and ire, with protests erupting during her Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony.
This person should not be getting a star on the Walk of Fame.
Gadot admitted that she could not remain silent following recent events in Gaza, but expressed dismay at the hatred directed toward her. The fallout between these two stars mirrored broader societal divides. Fans took sides, with some boycotting Snow White over Zegler's comments and others over Gadot's. The film itself suffered at the box office, its underperformance attributed by some to this off-screen drama rather than its artistic merits. Critics pointed out that Disney's decision to cast two politically polarizing figures may have been a misstep in an already fraught production. The backlash intensified when Zegler attempted damage control, softening her stance in later interviews. Yet, her critics saw this as insincere. And just like that, the tea gets even hotter. It all began with whispers of a fallout. Once close co-stars, Rachel and Ariana DeBose seemed inseparable during the awards season for West Side Story. But then, like a sudden shift in the wind, their friendship appeared to crumble. Social media sleuths noticed that both stars unfollowed each other on Instagram shortly after the Oscars, a move that sent fans into a frenzy of speculation. The plot thickened when Ariana quoted a now-deleted Instagram post quoting Jonah Platt, son of Snow White producer Mark Platt. The quote read, "Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged," and it seemed to take aim at Rachel amidst ongoing controversies surrounding her political stances and the disappointing box office performance of Disney's Snow White. Jonah had previously accused Rachel of letting her personal politics overshadow the film's promotion. "You really want to do this?" Platt's son wrote. "Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability," he added, "and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful," Jonah continued. "Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged." And then enters Kristin Chenoweth. The Broadway icon and Wicked star seemingly threw her support behind Jonah Platt, engaging with posts that criticized Zegler, including one that implied substance use based on her behavior at red carpet events. Ariana later claimed she was unaware of the quote's context, but by then, the damage was done. Adding fuel to the fire, some fans pointed out a deeper divide between the two actresses. Rachel's outspoken support for Palestine reportedly clashed with Ariana's pro-Israel stance. This ideological rift may have contributed to their falling out, with some speculating that industry pressures and differing worldviews played a role in widening the gap. But this isn't just a story about social media drama, it's about power dynamics in Hollywood. Steven Spielberg, who directed West Side Story, has remained noticeably silent in support of Rachel during these controversies. Meanwhile, rumors suggest he may have backed Ariana's career moves instead, further isolating Rachel from her former allies. The stakes grew higher as Zegler continued to share polarizing political opinions online. A post with her outspoken stance on Donald Trump's re-election, where she posted scathing remarks like, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace," added fuel to an already blazing fire, alienating a significant portion of the audience. The fallout was immense. Disney scrambled to manage the damage by hiring a social media specialist for Zegler. As tensions simmered behind closed doors, Disney attempted damage control. Producers reportedly traveled to confront Zegler about her activism, while Gadot maintained professionalism despite the hostility surrounding her. The fallout was swift and severe. The film opened to lackluster box office numbers and harsh critical reviews, making it one of Disney's lowest-scoring live-action adaptations. Critics and insiders alike pointed fingers at Zegler's political activism, which they claimed overshadowed the film itself. Next, we'll uncover something even more surprising. Disney's live-action Snow White remake was initially set to grace theaters in March 2024. The first twist came with backlash over the film's modernized elements. Disney, in its quest to modernize the beloved tale of Snow White, decided to reimagine the iconic Seven Dwarfs as CGI magical creatures. On paper, it seemed like a progressive move, an attempt to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original 1937 classic. But what followed was a whirlwind of backlash, confusion, and controversy that left fans and critics alike wondering, where did it all go wrong? Early set photos revealed diverse, magical creatures, replacing the classic Seven Dwarfs. The reaction? A storm of criticism accusing Disney of woke revisions. The first spark of outrage came from actor Peter Dinklage, who criticized Disney for what he called a backward story about dwarfs living in caves.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
His remarks ignited a firestorm, prompting Disney to promise consultations with the dwarfism community and a different approach to these characters. Yet, instead of casting actors with dwarfism, they opted for CGI creations, a decision that many in the community saw as erasing rare acting opportunities rather than promoting inclusivity. Also, this decision wasn't without cost. Extensive reshoots were rumored, ballooning the budget to a staggering $270 million. But the mystery deepens. Leaked set photos in 2023 revealed what appeared to be human-sized characters dressed as bandits, sparking rumors that Disney had scrapped the dwarfs entirely. The studio denied this, insisting that the CGI characters were always part of the plan. However, critics argue that these changes were reactionary, a desperate attempt to navigate backlash while still keeping costs under control. And then there's the uncanny design of these CGI characters. Fans have described them as unsettling and out of place, raising questions about whether Disney's attempt to sidestep stereotypes only created new problems. Meanwhile, members of the dwarfism community and disability activists have voiced their frustration. They argue that this was a missed opportunity for authentic representation, a chance to educate audiences about dwarfism through real actors that was instead replaced by digital stand-ins. And then came the actors' strike.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
While Disney cited the strike as a reason for the delay, skeptics weren't convinced. After all, principal photography had wrapped as far back as mid-2022. Adding to the chaos was a fire that destroyed part of the set during production in England. Combined with pandemic-induced delays, inflation, and a reliance on 7 different special effects companies, this project seemed cursed from the start. Each setback only deepened the financial hole. Let's dig deeper to uncover the real insight. As the film hit theaters on March 21st, it was met with an unusual phenomenon: review bombing. IMDb ratings plummeted to an unprecedented 1.5 out of 10, a score so low that it triggered a rare disclaimer from the platform itself. Unusual voting activity, it read, hinting at a coordinated effort to sabotage the film's reputation. Over 91% of reviews were 1-star ratings, a staggering figure that raised more questions than answers. The film grossed $225 million globally, a figure that pales in comparison to its production and marketing budget exceeding $400 million. The projected financial loss? A jaw-dropping $115 million. But let's rewind to its opening weekend. Despite debuting at number 1, Snow White only managed a dismal $42.2 million domestically, far below other Disney live-action adaptations like The Little Mermaid or Cinderella. Even the much-maligned Dumbo outperformed it in its opening weekend. The film's second-week drop was even more alarming, a 66% decline, marking the worst sophomore slump for any Disney live-action remake to date. The financial stakes were always high, with a production cost reportedly ranging between $240 million and $270 million, excluding marketing. The film needed to gross upwards of $600 million globally just to break even. Yet, its trajectory suggests it may not even reach half that amount. Disney scaled back press events and premieres. As reviews poured in, a mere 40% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and a lukewarm B+ cinema score from audiences. With competition from blockbusters like Minecraft, it seems unlikely that this tale will have a happy ending. The film's financial struggles and polarizing reception raise questions about Zegler's future in major Hollywood productions. With no new projects currently announced, her next steps remain shrouded in uncertainty. Tell us what you think in the comments and stick around for more exciting videos.